Welcome back to another Let's Program video tutorial. In this video tutorial, I'll just be covering C++ loops. One thing I do want to say is if you haven't already checked out on the Let's Program forums, which is free to join and communicate with others, Techno Bulldog has written a C++ tutorial on loops themselves and covering a little bit of if statements. So I'm basically going to cover what he's covered, but a little bit more in depth since it's going to be a little bit of longer because it's going to be a video, obviously, and he left some things out, just like not equal to and stuff like that, but I'll show you that as we get into it. So let's just jump right into it. And I do want to point out that we're not going to be using a specific example here. I'm just going to be using an integer number and then having it loop through I'd say 10 times for each type of loop that I'm going to show you. So the first one we'll cover is probably just the while loop. And so the way a while loop works is it's the same as any other loop. It takes a boolean expression inside of these parentheses right here, and if that's true, it will do whatever inside of this inside of these curly braces here, brackets or whatever you wish to call them. And normally whatever you have inside of brackets you're going to want to indent, as we have with this, since this is inside of the method main and this is going to be inside of the while loop. So we're going to have stuff inside of here, and we're first going to add the boolean expression to the while loop. So we're just going to do while number is less than 10. So what that's going to do is iterate through this, or what is ever inside of here, 10 times, and we're going to print out simply the number, and then we're going to end the line. That's the symbol for end line, which is just go down to the next line if you haven't watched my other tutorial. And if, let me go ahead and run this and show you what actually happens. So compile and run really quick. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so you see it's going on for an infinite loop here, and if you just think about it, number is never increasing here in the program, so it's always less than 10 if you think about it, because this is set to something inside of your memory, and you could set it to 0 by default, and you could do it either with the parentheses, which would be it'd be set, or you can just do equals to 0. It's the same thing, doesn't really matter. And so we're going to want to add to this. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can just do number plus plus, and that's essentially adding 1 to the end of the variable. Or you can just do plus equals 1, which is also adding 1, and that's helpful because you can do 2, 3, whatever. But we're just going to use plus plus because it just looks a little bit cleaner. It's only adding 1, so you only need to do 1. And that's about it. So if you run this now, compile it again. C++ compiles a little bit slower than Java, but it still works. So you see, it actually did it 10 times, but it counts as 0 as the first number because that's what it's defined as. So there's 10 digits here, but it's 0 to 9, so it doesn't really count for that. So you could do less than or equal to, like that. But let me just cover some expressions because we're going to have to cover some other types of loops in this video too, so I don't want to get too long. So we're just going to do something like, well, number is greater than, you can do greater than or equal to. You know, there's tons of things you could do. Equal. That's pretty pointless inside of a loop unless, well, that'd pretty much cause an infinite loop unless you were to add something in here. So you know, you could set this to 10, and then once everything's done in here, but that's basically just, you'd want to use an if statement for that really, unless I guess there's special occasions, but that's fine. We'll just continue on. So you can use does not equal to, which is the expression there. I'm blanking on the name of that, sorry. Oh, exclamation point, and then equal to, that's does not equal to, and you can do you can just have booleans here, which I haven't covered yet in a video, but you can create a boolean, use just a boolean, and then you could do like a not, and then the bool name, or just the bool name here, and whatever. So we're just going to continue on and cover a do while loop, which is something that I use sometimes. And the way that's structured is with a do first, curly braces, and right after the curly braces you have a while statement and the boolean here, and notice you end it with a semicolon after the while. That's something you have to have or you get an error. And again, it's the same thing. You have a number less than or equal to, or whatever you want. But the neat thing about this is before it even checks, well, in the while loop, if you remember, it would check if this was true first. If it was, it'd do it. And this one, it just goes straight into doing it right away without even checking. And then once it's done doing it at least once, it comes down here, checks, and if it's true, it will come back up here, do it again, and then check again, and go back up, and it will repeat until this is false, and then it will just continue on with your program. So the nice thing about this is if you have to do something at least once before you want to check if this statement is actually true, then this do while loop will help you out with that. And again, you can use any type of boolean expression inside of here, and you can have multiple ones as well with the or I don't know what you call those, but you can have like number does not equal 5, or number equals 5, or whatever. And another one is and then you have like number equals 5, and that'd be making sure that both of these were true before it actually did and repeated. And the last one I want to cover really quick is just the for loop, and the way you structure that is like for int x equals 0, x is less than number, then x plus plus, which I'll just explain that in a second. I'm running out of time, but that's fine. And then we'll just do cout, and we'll print x and l. So this is going to be the same thing basically, except you're going to be using x, and it's going to increment x instead of number. So that's kind of helpful if you don't want to touch number but you want to loop through something. You can create a new variable, make sure it's less than the variable you want to check, and then increment each time this goes through. And what's nice is that it doesn't increment on the first time. It will do this once and then come up here, do this again, and do that, as long as this statement right here, which is the boolean expression you're checking for, is actually true. So let me go ahead and run this real quick. And as you see, it's 0 to 9, which is essentially 10. And that's what our number is. So that's worked out very well. And if you want a more in-depth explanation, I'm not sure how much more depth and I can go on that, but if you want me to redo this video and explain maybe a little bit more on each one separately or just a certain one, then please do comment in the comments below, and I'll make sure to read them. So thanks guys for watching. Be sure to join the communities at letsprogram.org, and let's program, guys.